absorbed by trees. Snake-like vines draped the walls in drooping hoods, and grass reached up to your knees. The town was cast in a constant brown hue, fields of crops snowing their youth. The old gravel road was specked with dew, autumn leaves caked every roof. At the edge of the village stood this house, its owners, farmers and such. The doorsteps were lined with gourds and a mouse. They hid in the rabbit's hutch. And in that house lived a faint little boy with hair of mahogany. He was short in stature and very coy, with a knack for mystery. The boy loved to play and explore the land, but his mother's words would sting. The phrase that she spoke while clutching his hand, "Beware the Pumpkin King." The stories forever stay in his mind of the man who haunts the woods. He stood 50 feet high with teeth that grind and strip skids of childhoods. He's never been seen by the eyes of man. His appearance left folk. But every night when the blue moon was high, pumpkins disappeared like smoke. Children who wander, his mother would say, will wind up in his dark den. He'll munch on your bones and carve out your face, never to be seen again. Tradition says that the man could be swayed, with lanterns his offering, so the town carves their gourds just to evade the sinister Pumpkin King. The boy did not believe in the town's tale. His hatred he could admit. His mother would warn him to no avail, so his pumpkins stayed unlit. One night, as the whole town was preparing, the boy stayed locked in his room. When night fell and lanterns were glimmering, the child did not know his doom. The sky went dim as the doors were pulled close, pumpkins shining with fire. The boy lay his head down, calm and composed, his heart filled with desire. The cold night was silent and all was well, but something caught the boy's ear. A tinkling from the woods, just like a bell. Out the window he did peer. Deep in the woods, he saw something funny, an ember or candlelight. It hopped between the trees like a bunny and shone incredibly bright. The gleam caught his eye and enchanted him, and out the door the boy crept. While passing by, he saw his pumpkin prim and left while his parents slept. Standing at the edge of the dim forest, he grew more and more intrigued. He pressed forward while the swift wind chorused and began to feel fatigued. The whispers consumed his entire body and shivers ran up his spine. The limbs of the trees, spirits embodied, while the wisp explored the pine. Overwhelmed with dread, the boy ran further, and his vision went blurry. While stumbling around, he found a lurker and tripped while in a hurry. Later he awoke in an unknown place, just like a forest clearing. The midnight sky was like ink on his face, and his eyes began tearing. He sat for a moment in confusion till he heard the snicker. In the distance, he saw the illusion, a man made out of wicker. At the edge of the opening he stood, at least 50 feet in height. he had a pumpkin head and teeth of wood. 'Twas truly a chilling sight. His body was rigid like a scarecrow, limbs dripping with twigs and hay. In place of his hands was a bright white glow. His eyes were hollow and gray. The boy looked up and marveled at the man, interest taking control. With confidence filling him, he began to travel across the knoll. As he traversed the hill and got nearer, an ominous scene emerged. A field of pumpkins was now much clearer. In the grass they were submerged. They surrounded the man like in a pen, but when the boy looked some more, he noticed their faces were those of men whose life was carved out of gore. The boy's eyes widened. He took a step back and looked up at the man's face. Suddenly, everything seemed to turn black. The child was stuck in place. The clearing was shrouded in a dark mist when the man suddenly shook. His large pumpkin head began to untwist, and his arms started to hook. The large man of wicker bent his head down and stared into the boy's eyes. His once stiff face turned into a deep frown, while a light began to rise. From out of his dark eye emerged the wisp, and the boy felt paralyzed. The flame danced around him through the air crisp. He was scared but mesmerized. But in a flash, the wisp turned so violent, and flames engulfed the boy's head. The child tried to scream, but all was silent, and pretty soon he was dead. So the boy who loved to explore the land will always hear these words ring, the phrase his mom spoke while clutching his hand. Beware the Pumpkin King. The end.